This is He Knows the Sport, bringing you that heat and that fire. We keeping the foot on the what? On the necks. We keeping the foot on the what? On the necks. And like the Tibetan Mastiff that I am, I'm applying what? Unlimited pressure. Because pressure does what? It bursts pipes. Now let's get on to the video, man. First video, the Charlo brothers. Hear me? And hear me? Wow, we got to get on to it. Jamel and Jamal Charlo. I told you guys, man. And the prediction king strikes again. And the prediction king strikes again. I told you, man. We be calling this thing out 6 to 12 months in advance. Let me say it again. We be calling these things out 6 to 12 months in advance. So now let's get to it, you Rudy Poo, you plum brains. You classic dolts and you troglodytes. You ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric. The Charlo brothers got into it. They got into the nitty gritty of explaining the double standards associated with boxing. We tried to tell you guys this stuff, but you guys wouldn't listen to us. We told you guys, man. First it was Floyd Mayweather that expounded upon this. Andre Ward went in depth. Earl Spence talks about this. Deontay Wilder talked about it. Now you have the Charlo brothers. They pulled out the receipts. So when we sat here and said Canelo Alvarez was a DuckTales, a DuckTales, woo. There's a stranger out to find you. There's a stranger out to find you. What you do is grab on you some DuckTales, woo. It was fucking ducktailing the situation, ducktailing the Charlos, ducktailing that free smoke, ducktailing that work, ducktailing the fact that the Charlos were going to give him that operation. They were going to expose him. Jamel and Jamal Charlo basically went on what we call a rant like nobody's business. Obviously, Mel is more vocal than Maul. Let me say it again. Mel is more vocal than Maul. So Mel went all the way in to basically expound and explain the double standards that's associated with boxing. How black fighters are treated a certain way. So when you guys sit here and say, oh, let you keep it boxing, 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 you guys cannot understand. If you guys don't see the double standards, the stereotypes that's associated with black fighters, then what sport are you watching? This is not just a real life thing. This is not just a, basically what we would call a less than in everyday decorum. Black people are feeling less than in every aspect of their lives. Sports is no different. Let me say it again. Black people are feeling no better than. They are feeling less than in every aspect of their lives. Sports is another one of them. You would think because us as black individuals, we dominate the sports, we would be revered as such. No, they don't do that. They prop up these great white hopes, a la these Tyson Furies, a la these Vasily Lomachenkos. You know, great white hopes. And the black fighters that are the greatest to ever do it, the Muhammad Ali's of the worlds, the Floyd Mayweathers of the worlds, the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Sugar Ray Robinsons of the worlds, and the list goes on and on and on and on. They don't give them the same light. They don't give them the same candle. And you have black fighters that have to coon, basically become Uncle Toms, basically dance, buck dance. You know what I'm saying? Be buck dancers with the system. A la Mike Tyson. A la Sugar Ray Leonard. A la Roy Jones Jr. They have to compromise in order for them to get some level of respect, some level of dignity, some level of shred of, okay, we can put you part of the big boys club. We can put you part of the good old boys club. Let me say it again. We can put you part of the big boys club. We can put you part of the good old boys club. Jamel Charlo expounded upon when he was 23 years old and he was 20-0. No, my bad. 20 years old and he was 23-0 and he was making 100K. What fighter you know at 20 years old, 23-0 is making 100K and is with Golden Boy Promotions? The Golden Boy Promotions banner treated fighters less than. Outside of Floyd Mayweather, who basically took his boxing career in his own hands. Remember, this was before PBC came about. This was when you had a whole bunch of guys, the Adrian Broners of the world, the Charlos. Everyone was falling their ass up under Golden Boy Promotions. And outside of Floyd Mayweather, who created his own business empire. He's not a businessman. He's a businessman. Like Jay-Z said, he's not a businessman. He's a businessman. He created that business. So when he created that, it was him no longer slaving himself. This was basically what we would call the pioneership of what PBC is today. Al Heyman basically built the foundation of PBC off of Floyd Mayweather's success that he helped structure. He helped take to the next level. This is what the Charlos were talking about. This is what they were alluding to. But before PBC came about, before it created black men with confidence, purpose, and an abundance mindset, you had a whole bunch of black fighters that were fractured mentally, fractured emotionally, fractured from the sense of their holistic being. But they were just basically what we would say less than cavemen that would just go into the ring and fight. This is what the Charlos were speaking to. This is what Earl the True Spence was peeling the layers of the onion talking about when he said, if you were an American, why aren't you rooting for Deontay Wilder? Why are you rooting for Tyson Fury? See, these guys were talking about a systemic issue that's associated with boxing. Black fighters being treated less than. Andre Ward, white dad, black mom, black nevertheless because he has black in his skin, talked about the double standards that's associated with boxing and him being a black fighter as opposed to Gennady Golovkin, who has no special effects up and down, but who is getting all of the acclaim to fame while Andre Ward wasn't getting the same buzz. But Andre Ward was way leagues and shoulders above him. Gennady Golovkin was ducking his ass. Floyd Mayweather, the double standards associated with boxing and how Manny Pacquiao was getting this claim to fame above Floyd Mayweather, and we all know Floyd Mayweather was leagues and shoulders above him. Their matchup proved that to everyone that was watching when they fought in 2015. Everyone that was paying attention and listening saw what they needed to see between those two fighters. This is what we're talking about. The Charlo brothers have proven themselves time and time again. But who do you have that goes against the Charlo brothers? It's a bunch of these racist or coon, reverse bias, AK detractors, AK panders. Let me say it again. Racist or coon, reverse bias, AK detractors, AK panders. Either they're cooning because they have to feel that they need to be accepted because they have what we call identity crisis. They don't like themselves. And you got the Charlos that are confident men with confidence, purpose, and an abundance mindset that's sitting here telling you that there's a systemic issue here. We're not treated the same as black fighters. We put in all the work. We could be undefeated. Where's the money? We're not getting the spoils of the money. We're not getting the spoils of what we deserve. We're not getting anything that's showcasing us as fighters that are do what we're supposed to be do. But a Canelo Alvarez, who at that time didn't have anything going on. Think of Canelo Alvarez back in 2014, 2013, 2012, 2011, 2010. If you had a black fighter, a lot of Charlos that had the same kind of opponents that a Canelo Alvarez had, would they be built up the same way? Think about that classic belts and trophy race. Think about that Rudy Port Pump race. Think about that ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric. They kept the Charlos perfectly shelved away from Canelo Alvarez because they knew that these brothers would expose him at 154. They would have exposed him at 160. And now, damn sure, Jamal Charlo would expose his ass at 168. There's a reason for that. Oscar De La Hoya is not dumb. He knows what the limitation of his fighter is. You can say what you want about Oscar De La Hoya, but one thing about him is he's not dumb. He knows Canelo Alvarez's ceiling cap. He knows Canelo Alvarez is not a great fighter. He knows he's a very good fighter. Let me say it again. He knows Canelo Alvarez is not a great fighter. He knows that he's a very good fighter. So he shelves him away from elite black fighters that either have what we call pedigree, they have boxing ability a la Demetrius Andrade, that's why they call him boring from Oscar De La Hoya's mouth, or they keep him away from an athletic and explosive as you know what, Jamal Charlo, because he provides fits that a Canelo Alvarez can't figure out. Let me say it again. He provides fits that a Canelo Alvarez can't figure out. So in the cold-hearted, the unadulterated, the cutthroat, true-teller fashion, the Charlos were expounding on a deeper issue. Black fighters are not treated the same. Wake up, people. Wake up, you damn coons. No. The coons are not going to be able to wake up because they're cooning all the damn time. Let me say it again. The coons are not going to always be able to wake up because they're cooning all the damn time. And just like those times in segregation times, and just like the times in slavery times, what you had to do is you had to eradicate the coons. This is what we have to do in order to get the cold-hearted, the unadulterated, the cutthroat, two-telling fashion basically put out there so that people could see it under the bright lights. We have to eradicate the coons on what we call applying unlimited pressure. Because pressure does what? It bursts pipes. Expose them for who they are. This is why Sean Porter and inside PBC is no longer going to continue. His coon ass is getting what he deserves. The chickens have come to roost. How are you going against the grain when you're talking about Terrence Bud Crawford and another coon on top of that when you on the same banner with Earl the True Spence? Does that make any sense? See, this is the stuff that I'm talking about. Black people are our own worst enemies, and we don't want to hear this stuff. Let me say it again. Black people, we are our own worst enemies, and we don't want to hear this stuff. And I'm talking about the coons. They are the worst. And just like segregation and slavery times, they needed to be eradicated. This is what we have to do. We have to eradicate them with the cold-hearted, the unadulterated, and the cutthroat truths. So I got to salute the Charlo brothers because they put the script out there so that you could see how Oscar De La Hoya purposefully made sure that Canelo Alvarez, a DuckTales, woo, a DuckTales, woo. There's a stranger out to find you. There's a stranger out to find you. What you do is grab on you some DuckTales, woo. Purposefully ducked the Charlos because Oscar De La Hoya understood and he understands. Let me say it again. Oscar De La Hoya understood and he understands that if the Charlo brothers get their hand on Canelo Alvarez, it's superstardom for them. Instant superstardom. And he didn't want that. He didn't want another group of black fighters to reach that pinnacle status. But you got to give the Charlos credit for taking matters into their own hands, understanding that they weren't being treated the way that they were, and they fell their ass up on the Al Heyman. And this is why people have problems with PBC, because PBC allows black fighters to move in a way that black fighters are not supposed to move. Oh, you're a black fighter. Follow your ass in line. You're that slave that's supposed to slave for us. You're supposed to fight a certain way that we want you to fight. You're supposed to talk a certain way that we want you to talk. Notice, when it's the Sean Porters of the world, they're all right with him because he talks that talk that they like. When it's a Mike Tyson, they're all right with him because he talks a talk that they like. When it's a Sugar Ray Leonard, they love him because he talks the talks that they like. But a Floyd Mayweather, they can't stand him because he's a black man with confidence, purpose, and an abundance mindset. A Deontay Wilder, they can't stand him. He's a black man with confidence, purpose, and an abundance mindset. Or Earl Spence, they can't stand that because he's a black man with confidence, purpose, and abundance mindset. But they loved him some Terrence Bud Crawford. They love the fact that he could coon and be a chihuahua barking behind a damn fence. But they can't stand a Gervonta Tank Davis because these guys don't follow a script. The Charlo brothers, they don't follow a script. They follow what they feel is right in their own hands. They are governed by their own destiny. And that's the worst thing in the world, to have unapologetic brothers govern themselves. Let me say it again. Unapologetic brothers govern themselves. This is the issue that the Charlo brothers were talking about. And they exposed Oscar De La Hoya, they exposed Golden Boy Promotions, and they exposed boxing for what it was. So, again, recap. And the Prediction King strikes again. And the Prediction King strikes again. Hino's Sport told you that boxing was what? A three-pronged monster. Economics, politics, and pugilism. The latest rant that the Charlo brothers gave you, what does that sound like to you? Does it sound like economics? Check off. Doesn't it sound like politics? Check it off. And doesn't it sound like lastly they focus on pugilism? Check off. Interestingly so, you find that real fighters, authentic and consistent as you know what fighters, always fall in line with the thumb and the needle of a Hino's Sport, bringing you that what? That heat and that fire. And keeping the foot on the what? On the next. And keeping the foot on the what? On the next. The Charlo brothers, y'all get a double salute of the damn day for exposing boxing for what it is. It's a dark sport. It has a lot of corruption associated, and it's a three-pronged monster. Economics, politics, and pugilism. And what you guys need to understand is black fighters, even till today, are treated less than. Let me say it again. Black fighters, even till today, are treated less than. I keeps the foot on the what? On the next. I keeps the foot on the what? On the next. This is He Knows the Sport. Check it out.